Oh, wait. I remember now. I was at the coffee shop, sitting outside. I was sitting at a table on the sidewalk, it being an unusually warm day. For April, the front of the coffee shop was open, folded back. I was having a cup of coffee and reading these immortal leaves. Good old Walt, who stirred my soul since I was a young man. I've lugged this book around with me for ages, all my ages. I've taken it with me on all my travels, read it on buses, trains, and aeroplanes. I've read it alone in my cluttered living room late at night, many nights, over many years. I've especially read it in spring, rejuvenative season, tragicomedic season, season of death. I've sat, this book in my lap, in deepening soft-aired dusk, at an open window, a light wind coming in, maybe a lilac-scented light wind coming in, and whispers of heavenly death murmured I hear, labial gossip of night, sibilant chorals, footsteps gently ascending, mystical breezes wafted soft and low, ripples of unseen rivers, tides of a current flowing, forever flowing. Or is it the plashing of tears? The measureless waters of human tears. Wait, I remember. There were 3 young douche canoes in the coffee shop. They seemed to be having a threesome high school reunion inside the coffee shop, not in the sun, inside in the shade, at a table centrally located, occupying, they, not the table, more attention, both spatially and acoustically, than they might ought. I say they were douche canoes, based entirely on my, I remember now, or begin to, subsequent unpleasant experience of them. I'm sure there are good people on both sides of them. I doubt very much they're ever at their best when they're all 3 together. Most people, especially young men, are most often at their worst in groups. One of them was a cop in uniform. Ow. One wore a shiny blue suit and a long, bright red tie. One was all decked in Steelers gear. They noted me. How did they note me? They began to mock me. Look at this fucking guy, sort of thing. I do not doubt temporary affairs keep on and on, millions of years. Also, I do not doubt but the majesty and beauty of the world are latent in any iota of the world. Whatever this was with the 3 young douche canoes resulting in these injuries, I do not doubt I deserve it, them. I mean, I'm sure they weren't unprovoked. I'm sure I said something, maybe more than one thing. I now, wait, I remember how they noted me. My mistake. I glanced up at the raucous laughter of the entire water-gliding trio after a crack spat by one of them, I would not dare say which. The cop, highly trained, thick-necked, ever vigilant, noted me, said, "What are you looking at, Pops?" The one in the suit, his hair as shiny as the suit, then said, "Look at this fucking guy." The one in all the gear, his face as florid as a rose, inquired, "What are you, gay?" I hastened there in the sun on the sidewalk to look down, to read, to reread. As death murmured, measureless waters of human tears. "Is that a book?" asked the cop. "Is that a poetry book?" asked the suit. "What are you, gay?" asked the guy in the gear. I clearly remember now, sun on head, hot in hat, deciding looking down wasn't working. I looked up. I said, "Please, sorry, gentlemen, The cop, warning me, said, "We ain't gentle." The suit, puffing up, said, "We are men." The gear, pissing himself, said, "What are you, gay?" He laughed so hard at his homophobic rule of three triumph, and the others laughed with him. There were others also around, but they had their snouts in their cups, their eyes in their screens, their earbuds in their ears. Oh, I remember then the damp and buoyant triplets were as rats on scraps. They mocked my hat. They scorned my scarf. They derided reading in general, and reading poetry in particular, particularly in public. Only fags and jags, jags and fags, they agreed. They were scathing on the subject of sitting at a table on the sidewalk in the sun. Shouldn't I be in my hole, in the dark? Shouldn't I be in a home? Shouldn't I be hooked up to machines? Shouldn't I be shoveled into the ground? They laughed. They were having a grand old time. Glory days. It's like they were, did I make them? Characters I remembered and reformed. It's interesting, I think, to remember again and again how certain things follow you through your life and repeat. Motif. Certain kinds of people not liking your face, that sort of thing. Oh, I remember all right. Quicksand years that whirl me I know not whither. Your schemes, politics fail, lines give way. Substances mock and elude me. The rinsed and paddled threefold further, I now remember, presumed upon and pronounced upon my history of aberrant sexual persuasions, grasping the gay bash the guy in the gear had given them. The cop said, "He's an old homo reading his fucking homo poetry right out in fucking public." The suit said, "Dude, bro, you should probably check your computer in your cruiser. He's probably a pedophile, too." The gear said, "He's an old-ass, poetry-reading, jag-off, homo pedo." They laughed. The gear had clearly been the class clown. But now they were angry, too. I think from then on especially, their presumptions compelled them, if I remember aright. Oh, I remember. I want, don't we most of us, to be both weak and strong. I want to be a plucky victim and a battered hero. I would be both indomitable and a broken thing. and perhaps I am allowed to be these things. But I am not allowed. I must not allow myself to be unaware of approaching paradox. I may not be self-righteous about these things, or about any aspect of these things. If I am self-righteous thus, I may not be. Whispers of heavenly death remind me to be. Oh, I want only to be, and to let be, and to be let be, and so on. And oh, the ripples cast by those pebbles tossed into this muddy puddle. Out of politics, battles, life, what at last finally remains? When shows break up, what but oneself is sure? I remember they were up and standing around me now, milling around really, moving in and out of sun and shade. "You got nothing else to say, Pops?" said the cop. He knocked my hat off. "Nothing, old fag?" said the suit. He slapped Walt out of my hands. "Nothing, old jag?" said the gear. He spat in my coffee. I'm sorry to say, I have to admit, their anger angered me. Anger is so easily transmissible, sometimes still, after a lifetime thus far of anger ins and outs. Did I say I'm sorry to say? When it transmits, I receive. To the cop, I suddenly said, "I don't mean to misappropriate, but what is with you? There aren't any people of color in the coffee shop? No one obviously distressing the binary? No one speaking a language you don't know? But you're with your boys here, you're feeling needy, so you pick on an old guy reading poetry because he glanced up when you were being stupid and loud?" To the suit, I said, "Speaking of stupid and loud, that suit and tie, what is that, your MAGA monkey suit? Say, didn't I see you outside my polling place wearing your AR-15 strap-on?" "That was me," yelped the gear. "That was me too," asserted the suit. "Shut up, you two," snapped the cop. "He's being a smartass." To the gear, I then said, "Believe it or not, hate to break it to you, but unless they're actually playing a football game, the Steelers aren't interesting at all. Jag off." "Whoa, whoa, whoa," they ejaculated, but in unison. To my infinite regret, I can't do three voices at once. I remember that whilst they were thus taken aback, I got up, picked up Walt, picked up my hat, frowned at my coffee cup, and walked away on the tips of my toes. I felt at first some pleasure and pride in my sallies gainst besetting ignorance, but these were quickly replaced by shame and regret. Why was I so mean? Why did I answer them at all? I expect so much more, or anyway, something else, from a me my age. I told you I deserve this. I said some things. They couldn't let me be. They wouldn't let me let them be. And I would, but I couldn't let them be not letting me be. Whispers of heavenly death. Oh, I went down to walk by the river for my constitutional. The flushed and paddle-driven triumvirate followed me down and subsequently gave me a whooping. They whooped my old ass. They opened up a can of whoop ass on me. They couldn't let the likes of me get away without a whooping. When they were done whooping my old ass, I remember they stood over me and looked down on me, and they each had some parting words for me. The cop, for example, said, "I'm an officer of the law, so we won't kill you. Plus, you ain't worth it." The suit, piggybacking on that sentiment, said, "But there's no place in this country for a sick old fuck like you, really. Do us a service. Kill yourself." The gear brought the whole sordid affair full circle when he said, "Bottom line, old jagoff, fucking jag. Next time, be a man. Take it and keep your mouth shut. Nobody likes a smartass." That's the last thing I remember before awakening and remembering the first thing I remembered after I awakened. I was at the coffee shop, sitting outside. I do not doubt that whatever can possibly happen anywhere at any time is provided for in the inherences of things. I do not think life provides for all and for time and space, but I believe heavenly death provides for all. I could really use a cup of coffee. After all, I didn't get to finish the first one. But is that wise, do you think?